Hello everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm
excellent,
good.
Excellent.
Right, I'll let you guys introduce yourself.
That can get to villages, get in towns, and get to the
and available information.
This is Western and that's the collapse. What I call this demon. Don't.
So another gentleman, the gentleman, and the minister, the transport secretary who lives in Lubumbashi. You know what the transport secretary?
the Western.
She's got points for the audience that is watching.
Because I'm not, Africa or not, because it's wrong. You're a child. So even with the paper round, no, you shouldn't be doing a paper round. You should be in school. That can
She's got points for the audience. Hello everyone.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Right, so I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourselves. But before I do that, I would like to say we're gonna have a conversation in the topic of politics, and we're gonna discuss some of the things I've prepared for today. We've already we've already been pumped. That's the best way of putting it. So I will start with yourself, Hannah. Just your name, where you're from, who you are, etc.
So my name is Hannah Oyewole. I'm an author, speaker and entrepreneur. I run a charity called Young Ladies Club in the UK, and we basically work with young girls and young women to provide mentoring programs in schools. We also provide employability skills programs and personal development programs.
Hello once again. I am Bantu. I'm from DRC. I'm a fashion designer and also an author.
Hi everyone. My name is Armel. I'm an artist, a musician artist, and also I work with the NHS with cancer patients. Thank you.
Well, I'll say, because I never usually say this, but I'm Charlhene, or Charlhene if you want to be technical, and I'll be the one asking the questions today, but I also am responsible for making my own jewellery. I also am responsible for producing this elaborate show, and I'm also responsible for producing an up-and-coming documentary at the moment, which is I Am a Congolese Story. Aside from that, I also make some teas, herbal teas. But yes, one of the reasons why we created the platform was to have conversations. So we get right to it. Right, so my first question, I'll start like I normally do with a bit of a context. Africa seems to be obsessed, and I say Africa because I'm literally blanketing it, with drama, chaos and gossip. Okay? However, in most countries, they all seem to be obsessed with those very three things as well. But where it's very important or very detriment is that for Africa or African countries, it has a direct effect on the development, security, financial stability of its people and its future. So my question is, or I ask you all, in this ignorance that we play, because we are playing ignorance in the best part, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong, and this naivete. Do we need to now start growing from it? Because we could use all the excuses in the world, slavery, colonialism, all of that stuff. But at what point do we start now saying, grow up?
I'll
start with you, yeah.
It's really here in my head. As soon as you said grow up, it sparked many words or arguments I've heard so far. This may be hard to say, but yes, Black Lives Matter. Yes, there's been slavery, there's been abuse, there's been, you can name it, violent stuff. It's time for us to move forward from that. Now, I know people are going to say, we can't just forgo 40 years of oppression, blah, 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 blah. I get it. The Chinese had it also. Their time of slavery, they had it also. But they went past that. It's time for us to stop complaining. Oh, he's being racist to me. And what I don't get is, why are we expecting them to treat us just for, or in an equality way when we come to their country? This is their country. They can do whatever they want to do. So then, instead of complaining, let's get on with it. Now, for those who don't know, even the Indians, Pakistan, they do also face racism. But they focus on most things that matter the most, such as money. It matters. Their eye is on the goal. And I always think all of them, like, let's say, event that takes place, the chaos, these are distractions for us now, because we should be strong enough here. They tried to kill us, minimize us. They couldn't succeed. We are strong, and our parents still breed people like us. So it's time for us to move forward. It's gonna be there. They are gonna be racist to us. They are gonna want us to be down. It's gonna be there, but we have to see past that. If we get stuck in our emotions, we'll get stuck just right there where they want us.
So let me bring it to Armel, and then I'm going to leave it to the voice of reason afterwards, because, you know, being sexist right now. Armel, what's your take?
Well, my take is this. From when you have parents who grew up from back home, came down here as an adult to Europe, and then they've given you as much as they can in terms of like from their limitations, you as a young adult from the age of 18, you should already be knowing that, look, I need to grow up from here. My parents struggled from this point. This is where I start to take responsibility and accountability, and I start to move forward. And as the older that I'm getting, with the younger generation coming behind me, they're going to see me as a role model because I've technically grew up here. Pardon me, whereas my parents haven't. And because of that, they need to follow my lead so that they can exceed what I'm already doing. Because what we're doing is, we're doing the easy part, and that's actually like solidifying ourselves here. Whereas the younger generation now, they have to exceed us purely because we've given them the opportunities that we kind of lacked, the limitation that we kind of had to experience. So what we're doing is we're breaking down those barriers for them now in order to go forth and better us. Purely because what we had was just the language barrier with our parents. But we now had the education, learned the language. So not only did we learn the language, have the education, but we were able to thrive and open up and do our own
But
businesses.
my counter to that is that because this is about politics and we're talking about sentiments and facts here, or sentimentalism and facts.
Yeah.
When it comes to politics and this, we are becoming better. If we're taking us here on this table, we're all born from either the 90s or the 80s.
Right.
There's not been anything that we've done in politics yet, anyway, that is substantial enough for me to say, oh, we've made a difference to what they did before.
Right. So how I want to answer that? How I want to answer this like this, yeah. We haven't finished our story.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Good point.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We still haven't finished. We're still going.
We're starting.
We're starting. That's a good point. That's a good point.
We're
So
starting, but we still haven't finished.
let me hand over to Hannah then,
Yeah.
and let her answer that question or give her take on it.
Well, there's so many different points on the table that's already come up, so I just need to make sure that I kind of pull it together. I agree with you in a sense of, we do kind of have to move forward and not always, be sentimental in terms of, where we've come from per se, but you can't negate the fact that institutionalized racism still exists. And what you have to understand is, for somebody from the diaspora that's now in this country or in the Western world, there will be inequalities possibly in terms of job, which impacts your finance, housing, many different factors. For you to be discriminated based on your race in a society where there's progressive opportunities is horrendous and it's terrible. So when people say forget, it's still happening.
I'm not saying forget.
When people say, not yourself, when people say forget, it's like, okay, I'm trying to forget, but when I go for a job interview,
It's in my face.
when I go for a mortgage, when I got, so you still have
It's all in
to
your face.
take that into consideration. So how do we progress past that? With the Black Lives Matter that has happened, a lot of charities, forums, groups, institutions have popped up, trade unions, things have popped up in order to counter these things. So I always look at the solution for the problem. And I feel like so long as we consistently band together, share our experiences and look for solutions to those problems, then I believe that yes, we can truly move forward, forget about whatever. But so long as it's still happening, it's still going to kind of be a thorn in your side. So that's kind of my answer to
I was
that.
going to say, not cancel what you say, but in addition, from a clarification from
Yeah.
my first point,
Yeah.
I work with poets who say things like the system is broken.
Yeah.
The system is not broken. It's operating how it's supposed to operate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are going to be those things. The racism, discrimination, systematic racism, which
Yeah.
is very powerful. The most invisible racism is that, but it's actually effective. It's going to be there. Now, I like what you said. How do we find solution
Exactly.
past
How
that?
do we get a solution?
Because it's there. We can't avoid it. Now, I'm not saying for us to come, oh, no, you can't be racist to us, crying, Instagram and social media.
What you're saying is
hold on,
good.
hold
What
on.
you're saying is good, but
Let
someone wanna
me,
add.
you know what I mean? Let me on and crying about it. All them moaning, that's what children do. The Jew, once again, they will sit down and strategize. The Chinese will sit down in their secret meeting and say, how did we get there? How did we get past that little
See, they
barrier?
work together.
You know what I mean? Them little crying and that. Let's try to minimize them. Look, they see us. I'll be honest with you. I feel like there's people in the shadow when they see us crying and all that marching and that they laugh. They're happy. That they're happy about that. It makes them, it gives them joy, and also it brings them this happiness, satisfaction that we are always crying and complaining. Because it's gonna happen.
I want to add something, yeah? That's why I said our story is still going, because we're going to be that solution for the younger generation. We're going to break that barrier. We're going to make sure that whatever that we're going through now, they don't experience it. So we're going to be their rock. We're going to be their diamond. We're going to be the diamond that's been put under pressure for them to shine and thrive.
But in terms of politics now, because
Yeah.
you made a very good point in terms of, okay, almost how do we have an impact and influence on the political landscape back home in Africa?
Yes.
I think right now, I don't know if you saw sort of the eruption or the protest in Nigeria with the whole NSARS and M police brutality.
Yeah.
That was an opportunity for the youth to start up a revolution.
And
But they
did.
were still backed down by the powers that be, which are the politicians. So now they found their voice through social media. And even now they're trying to introduce a social
glad
media
you said
bill
that. I'm glad you said that, because
in
I've had this
Nigeria, you know, so
conversation.
it's social media that's going to really be the game changer for those that are in the diaspora in terms of Africa and changing the narrative in terms of politics,
mentioned
and
it.
those that are on ground in
I
Africa.
mentioned
I've had
something
this
too. I
conversation
mentioned
so
something
many
about that.
times. In order for a movement like, say, the march or protest to be effective, you have to utilize the skill of 2020 or that of 2021. The reason why I'm saying that is because what I saw, apart from the actual protesting, what I saw is intellectual movement from the Nigerian SARS movement. They were feeding individuals.
Yeah.
They were out there
To raise
making
money.
satellite dishes so no one can cut down power. They understood the art of war is first thing you take electricity, internet, all of that. But they knew already that was going to happen. This is the youth, the young. They knew that was going to happen because that's the first rule of war, right? You take all these power away, they can't communicate. But they realize they need to communicate in order to make sure everyone is aware of what is happening and what they're fighting for. So they fed the masses so they keep them motivated. There was no fighting. There was no screaming and shouting or any stupid ego within themselves. Second of all, then they mobilized. By mobilizing, they had solar panels up. So that everyone can have their working phones and all of that kind of stuff. They put their money in a pot. I saw all of these things. I heard from all these things. This is the reason why your Beyoncés and your Davidos took upon themselves to be like, rah, okay,
It's a movement.
I need to join this. Because you're innately attracted to a force.
Exactly.
And anyone could be attracted to force if it's done right. And we have to acknowledge that every individual in Nigeria right now on that front line has to be commended for how they have
course.
protested, because they have
Definitely.
used all
Every
their
single
power.
means.
Every means that they have, including the 21st century means,
Which is
social
Bitcoin as
media.
well. They use
they've
Bitcoin
used
to raise
'cause
funds
they can't
in
close
case,
their accounts.
in case they close their accounts. Like literally, you have
Guys,
to use
really,
technology.
you know the thing about that we just mentioned about us, the diaspora here, and the whole social media being one of our biggest weapons. Should we say that? One of our biggest weapons. I'm a big unbeliever on that,
Okay.
and my point is that social media is not tangible. You know what I mean? It's not tangible to the point where to shake the powers that be. Although, yes, I saw his power. But, example, the rule of law. How can I influence the law? That is power. If we reach a point to influence a law, is if a Nigerian policeman kill anybody, you're getting the same. That the level that I want us to reach on. I'm not saying we're going in one direction. No, we're going in the right direction.
But
on this part, I'm only a believer on this because that's what I'm looking at. I want the bigger fish.
But my counter is this. Again, back to the SARS. Because it's something that's relevant right now.
Absolutely.
The Nigerian government came up with this nonsensical nonsense of we've got rid of SARS, but they replaced the name.
Did it?
They just did it. They said it. They said they replaced it with SWAT. However, the same individual still operated, and because of the consciousness of these young youths, they were like, no,
it's not happening, and they changed it.
We need more, and this speaks to what you're saying. So. At some point, this is one example of a blossoming fruit, basically, where they are conscious of, you're not just going to rename and we're just going to be like, yay, thank you, like they did with the civil rights movement in the 60s in America, where they called it civil rights when really should have been black rights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I hate when they called it.
I know. But we're in that same place now. But they realized that because they learned from those histories that people in power tend to recloak, reword, rename, reimagine, so that they can make you feel like you're getting something from that, because I mean, when the slavery was abolished in America, they promised them the whole 40 acres and a mule, right? Which never came to fruition at all. But it's that fake promise that we're now starting to see. So, but at the same time, bringing it back to politics, now that is the fruit that has been blossomed in Nigeria, and the whole world has jumped on it. How do we get that to be the whole continent?
But the thing is, I need to really agree with some of the stuff that he said, because yes, the protest was powerful in Nigeria, and they brought together their 5 for 5 demands, and the government has set up judiciary panels to inquire about it as well. But he's got a point in the sense that it isn't just social media where you just create your movement. Because when it comes to, because not everyone has social media in Africa, you have to go to grassroots, like you have to put those funds together and go to grassroots towns, villages. Because if you have, for example, in Nigeria, the biggest political parties are APC and PDP. And it's all about owning states. They own a lot of states equally.
Absolutely.
So now you're going to come with a new political party, and you're going to have to go by, find a way to subdue all of the states that they have to get the masses to vote for you. So I was sitting down and thinking, okay, we've done an amazing job as a youth in Nigeria, fantastic. Now, how do you, you're going to have a long-term plan.
Absolutely.
In order for you to go, because you've begun something, but you have to go down to the grassroots level, into each state, get them to know about you.
I suppose that's the same with the Congo.
And you have to understand that when it comes to politics, corruption is involved. So I was reading about, Angola and just different other African countries where corruption thrives. Some of them politicians own TV networks, newspapers that some of the people who don't have telephones read. So they've found a way to control the masses.
That's the game.
So I think that is one of the reasons why a lot of people are struggling to kind of break down the powers that be in Africa. And the only voice that young people have found so far is social media. But I'm interested in a stronger movement that can get to villages, get to towns, and get to the
on the subject of information and available information. So me and you constantly go to these summits.
Yeah.
Right? We're on there on a regular.
Yeah.
Right. So the African Union summits, the Commonwealth summits. And I have to add, as a note, Congolese, I'm like the only one that turns up at these events.
You're not inviting me, so...
No.
Likewise.
But here's the thing. The way I discovered it was because in my head, we have a continent that belongs to us and a planet that belongs to us. If there is a Commonwealth Summit that involves an African, I'm going to be there. If there's a Commonwealth Summit in England or wherever it is, I'm going to be there because I look at it as I can learn something. I mean, hey, in the process, I met Hannah.
Exactly.
Right? So I've definitely gained. And it's the same as you don't need me to invite you.
It's true.
You're already invited.
Yeah.
It's an open invitation.
It's just to come.
I know, but I don't know where that is.
No. It's our own responsibility to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
And that's where we go wrong.
That's the
we wait for someone.
question.
You shouldn't be waiting.
These individuals, like the African Summit, the Commonwealth Summit, the African Union, they have information. They have platforms live right now. And I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying they're not without faults or without failures. But the problem is that we seem to look at them as, because it said that, oh boy, it's an African thing, you know. We don't see that as a point to gain information. Like you're saying, we've done this resolution, right, with the youth in Nigeria. Tap it with whatever it is going on. Ethiopia is just building a fantastic train line right now. And we're to the point where, when finished, we will have an intercontinental trading within that, because we heard the whole presentation. They're building this beautiful train line that's going to connect the north.
To north and...
They're going to be able to go in and out just like me and you go to Brixton.
Wait, what, just the north?
Yeah, at the moment it's just the north. But it depends now, because they've had the north conversation.
That's where money is at the moment.
The north have had conversations. The point I'm trying to make is the south, the east and the west haven't had that conversation.
And there's no money there.
Because we are still, as Congolese...
There's money, by the way. Just go to...
No, as Congolese, we are still worried about what the Rwandese did in the 90s. We're not realising that we've got 9 neighbours and we have got to make friends. Because actually together, we wouldn't need to spend... And again, I'm just going to keep it to Congolese. We wouldn't need to spend £470 million a year on corn from Mexico or wherever it is, when we can just get it from Kenya, who's just down the road.
Yeah, and it'll be for cheaper price too.
And it'll be cheaper, logistically cheaper, and not only that, it will not only enforce and empower us, we can go and get palm oil from Nigeria.
Yeah, Charlene, this is for me personally, for me. Next time when there's an event like that, please invite me, Bantu.
But it's your
No,
responsibility.
please. Let me, I just put my request to a sister. It's sharing is good, isn't it? Sharing is caring. Because please invite me, inbox me on my phone. You have anything about my contact?
Can I add something? I'm going to add something about this.
Yeah. Good, yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to add something about this. See, this is why Africa is not united. You know why? It's because as an African, it's principles to learn about what's going on in other African countries.
Very important.
It's not about popularity. And I mentioned this earlier. I've got a friend who's Nigerian. He said to me, oh, why, you're my only Congolese friend, why do you not teach me about Congo? I said, it's not my responsibility to teach you about Congo. How is it I know about Nigeria? I didn't ask you, because I did it myself. As an African, it's principle to know. These are the basics. You see what I mean? That's what I'm saying, yeah? These are things, I've already held accountability for not going to it, because I'm supposed to know.
But that's what I'm talking about. Those informations that are available is something that... I think that it's been said in jokes in so many different comedies, like black people don't like to read.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the ignorance I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Are we still living in that, even in our generation?
We are.
Because I know you released a book. I know you've released a book. So are we still living in a... I tend to read at least 10 books a year. I have to, because in my head, even if I'm listening to it, even if I've got it in my, I will have to read, because the way I look at it is, this is information that will blossom my mind and my soul. So are we still looking at ourselves as the stereotype or the stigma that is black people don't like to read?
It's still there, and I'll tell you why. Purely because I've got a lot of Ghanaians and Nigerian friends, and the 10 that I know, when I spoke to them about what was happening in Congo, they were like, oh, I didn't know that was going on, right? Now, them saying that made me think, so, you're African. How can you not know? And to them it was because Congo's not popping. That was the exact words. But the irony is, we've been doing this is your phone rape-free since God knows how long. And we've been having this issue since 1996. Majority of our generation don't even know that the phones that we use is like the mineral coltan is from Congo, which is 70% of the world's natural resource comes from us. The other 30%, like China and others, and they obviously their percentage is very low.
Not the it's very low.
The irony is, they say that, but they don't even know that the equipment that they use is from Congo. They don't even know that. So that's what I'm saying to you.
It's not just the
No, I'm talking about the mineral resource.
Of the phone.
Yeah, it's not just the phone, but it's even the TV.
Phone, I think it's very important to understand. We often, as Congolese, say coltan, but we have to break down the phone. So the copper comes from Nigeria, the aluminium comes from Cameroon, the you have to break the entire phone down. Absolutely. And what that looks like the 9-year-old kid that we see every single afternoon on the video that is mining. That's what this looks like. So that's the reality of it. And it doesn't just come from just Congo, although the 60% does.
70.
But no problem. the majority does come from Congo, but what it is it's the result is 100% African. The result of the detriment is 100% African. The result is that your charity has to help certain individuals from that trauma just to produce this.
Two things.
You know?
I didn't finish my point, but go on.
Yeah, go on.
It's just swinging about. We'll pass it on to
I
you.
was just basically saying, with what you said, sister, it's just that the ignorance is very high because everyone just wants information, based on popularity.
True.
Not principles.
I agree.
You see what I mean? So for someone to say Congo's not popular, it just shows the absolute irony, ignorance for them to make a comment like that. I'm Congolese, but I've chosen to know about what's happening in Nigeria because I'm African and it's principles. And like I said earlier, like our parents' generation, they knew stuff like that. So it wasn't because of popularity, it's because I wanted to know. As an African, I'm supposed to know.
Two things. Two things. Start from you, then I bounce up to your point. The barriers or frontier that we have in countries, barriers, right? For the barrier, the borders, that's the word.
Borders,
The borders that we have in Africa, from, that we have Ghana, Nigeria, those borders, unfortunately, those borders are not only physically.
Mentally.
It's also mentally. The day they put that on, it becomes mentally. It's even tighter because our parents had opportunity. I remember I met a Ghanaian man, they said, I've been to Congo. I said, where else? I've been to the port of Matadi. I've never been there. He said he's been there. I was a captain of the ship. I've been to, in his time, there was I was traveling, journey was easier to get to this part of Africa. So the border is more tight, it's more scary, there's more all that. So it's not only physical, it's also mental. That's why we see H-wise of the not knowing what's happening other side of your neighbor. Furthermore, to Charlene's point regarding the previous meeting, was again? This one, Jenna thought.
I've been speaking a lot.
Your question, you wanted to mention, okay, ignorance.
Yeah.
You said about that.
Yeah.
I just want to give credit that it's getting better.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I want to definitely give credit. It's getting better. The part that she published a book, I myself, is getting better. Although it's there, but it's getting better. The reading, a bit younger than I was back then, it was hard to meet, especially girls or boys who read. Now I'm seeing this more often. I read this book, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I read this, and I read Mandela's book, and it's getting more familiar to me personally. I see, so it's getting better, sister. Yeah. It's hard, but it's getting better. But it's still.
I think social media did that. Social media is the one that unified everyone because you wouldn't know someone who lives in Cambridge and you live in London, not realizing that you both share the same interest.
So much. It's just that. But let me get Hannah's point. Just.
I think it's more. I think it's music as well. I think African music.
I was gonna get
what
that.
united, because it's definitely because even me, I'm not gonna lie. Like I went to Nigeria very late, and so what drew me there was actually like the music coming from young people. Like I was when I looked at the Davidos and Wizkid, I was like, these guys are young, like, and they're talking about like Nigeria. Like I just needed to find out what their experience was like. So that's where so it was definitely the music that definitely, and then even like if you go to Tanzania, you see like other musicians as well, like Diamond Platinums, and even Congo, like Congo music was even popping even way before like, so I think it was definitely the music that got me interested. But then I feel like, as I'm listening to the conversations on the table, I'm just like, is Africa actually united? Because that was just ringing in my head. Like, are we just so concerned about, I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Ghana, I'm from Congo? Because it feels that.
That's our main
It doesn't
problem.
feel like, because we should, because when I looked at the African Union, all these African countries, they're all in the union.
Add to what you're just
so
saying.
are we actually united? If we have a union, but are we even united? Do we
Add
know
to what
about
you're
each
just
other's
saying.
country?
You know, the most pleasing moment for me was when I heard the Davidos, the Idris Elbas, the Wizkid, the Fally Ipupa recognize individuals from the top to the bottom of Africa in terms of musical influences. And that to me said that if in music you could say Shaka Khan or whatever, not even Shaka Khan, let's leave the Americans out of it. If in music you can say, Papa Wemba paved the way for me, and Idris Elba was one of those people that said that, saying that Papa Wemba paved the way. And to be fair, Papa Wemba did. Yeah. But most wouldn't.
Internationally, by the way.
Yeah. Internationally, globally, because he was just a different kind of musician. But if you can say that, then why can't you say it in everything else? Because ultimately, I think we can all agree we stem from one tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We stem from one tree, and this border thing. If we are all saying that we're conscious. And we keep saying that we're conscious, but then if you're conscious, you know that we didn't have borders. The borders was created, right? That didn't exist. You said it earlier. The borders was created. We didn't have it. If we were all here to do an ancestry test, we'll find we've got a bit of something.
True.
I'll probably half Igbo somewhere or whatever. I don't know.
No, it's true.
Charlhene.
No. She's telling the truth.
She's saying the truth.
This is probably why I like my Nigerian men. But anyway,
You don't want to go
I
there.
also like Congolese men. Just relax.
Yeah.
Just they don't want to make it
Can
look
we
like.
be this real on the show?
Can you be this?
Anyway, period. I like African men. But no, the point I'm trying to make is that we seem to find only in entertainment, almost as if that's the only, because the slave master left us that as the only thing that we can do, entertainment, whether it be sports or music or whatever, or acting. Because we were left with that, we seem to only find the unity in that.
And
but
that's what
like you said,
thriving.
what is stopping us? The Chinese are the ones that invested heavily on Akon, right? And his, light project. The Chinese were the ones that invested heavily in Ethiopia, right? Why? Because there's so much money within the black community. Why weren't we the ones investing heavily in the light system? It's 21st century and there's someone in Africa without light.
It's because
The political system, I said again, the government system is westernized. So therefore it's created to benefit the West. For instance, I watched the documentary in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Netflix. Actually, you also got seen it.
Yeah.
And they still complain the fact that they know that their government system is to benefit the West. It's to
Can I add something after?
Yeah, sure. It's to have the way the West operate, the part democracy, we have this party. There was no such thing in Africa. This is Western. Now, if this doesn't collapse, what I call this demon don't collapse, we won't be able to reinvest in ourselves, because whatever we make in a political realm, it benefits the West directly. And our leaders are aware of it, and it's very frustrating.
Well, our leaders, just before I give you your say, our leaders, ultimately, if we are honest, are elected by the West. Let's be frank, they're chosen by the West. So anyway, let me...
A presidential elect or...
No. Not
I'll expand on that afterwards.
So before when I came here, I was fortunate enough to come across a Congolese Uber driver.
Okay.
And we were speaking about how, we like to invest back home. So he had an idea to bring 50 buses back to Congo to create like a transport system in Lubumbashi, right? So he had a meeting with, he had a link, another gentleman, the gentleman, and the minister, the transport secretary who lives in Lubumbashi. You know what the transport secretary said? I hope you're watching this. He wants to get 60% of the man's own money that he put in. Do you know what hurt me?
Sip my drink. Let me just drink.
You know what hurt me when he said that? The transport minister had the audacity to say 60%. And this is the Congolese Uber driver, God bless his soul, yeah? He goes, this is my own money, my idea that I'm working with this man to bring 50, buses so we can help the transport system back home. And he wants to claim 60% of what we're doing. So then what are they left with? So that means this man, out of the 40, 20 for him and 20 for the other person. It doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
In all of that, the actual idea never gets to blossom.
Yeah. And that's why you see it. So from what she was saying here, we are our own downfall because of things like that.
So now
our government is the one that does that to us.
I agree, but imagine that someone like me who's very militant, okay, I'm not afraid to kill. So I don't know if you say this is, yeah.
You should have said that, but okay.
I said it. I'm very militant.
He's Nate Turner or Nat Turner.
Yeah.
So then,
Let's put it that way.
if I have two birds now to eliminate, who's I'm gonna eliminate? My brother who he wants me to die, or our original enemy, as we know already who it is. So who am I gonna? Between them two, who would I go for now? Because I know my brother here wants me to die. For sure, he wants to struggle me here, and the other original enemy wants me also to die. So who will I attack first?
You will go for the original enemy, because if you kill the original enemy,
he will kill me.
Listen to me. When you kill the original enemy, what's going to happen is this, yeah? Even though your brother will kill you, but when you kill the original enemy, what happens is, yeah, the good that's behind him that he hasn't seen, the good people will see the fault in the person that killed you. And the person that killed you now...
Before you two have your back and forth,
the person that killed
I'm seeing the facial expression on Hannah's face, so I'm going to bring Hannah in
I'm just trying to work it out in my head. Like, who's the enemy? Like... I'm just trying to figure it out in my head.
Yeah.
What you're actually like, the point that you're trying to like make in
My
terms of
point.
yeah, like because you said your brother
Wanna
is
kill
the
me.
enemy, and then who's the original enemy?
You know the original enemies?
Western.
I
Spell it
want
out,
the
spell it
Western.
out.
Western
Yeah,
people.
I need you to say it like
Spell it
be
out.
clear.
No, she's got points. For the audience that is watching.
Because that's what I was
Spell it
trying to work
No,
out.
okay,
Like, is he
fine.
saying it? Is he not? You know.
No problem.
Yeah.
Our original enemy is Europe, is white people, or even the Chinese are
Okay.
becoming.
Okay.
These are our original enemy.
I didn't say that, by the way.
Okay, well, I said it, and I'm going to say it, and they know that. It's all over YouTube. They all know that. It's all over Facebook. I'm just one of who actually saying it also. It's them. However, I have someone who's been infected on the Western disease, which is also my brother in Africa. He's after me, like draining my money, like he just said. He wants to drain me out. So is he. So who would I eliminate first?
Question. So if
And don't give me that thing of, oh,
I'm gonna
they're
ask
good
you.
in you. I don't want to hear that.
I'm gonna ask you.
Because Mandela was good,
If
and he
you-
got where he comes from.
If you eliminate your brother, and then the bigger problem, you say the Western, yeah, still there. What you've done is you just won the beef, but you've lost the war.
But
You're better off losing the beef
I
and winning
think,
the war.
let me
Bro,
put it
that's
this way.
all-
I
all
think,
that sound nice, you know.
we have to look at the
It
whole
sounds very nice.
the whole revolution.
Like
I think
ABC.
I have to bring in what I learnt from Farrakhan. The whole revolution will not be possible if we don't have the militant, the social, charitable,
Fair enough.
and yourself, the medical, and myself, just the weirdos.
The creative.
It will not be possible if we do not have every one of these people at their realm.
Especially military.
No, hang on. You need to have your thinkers in order for them to guide the militant.
Thank you.
Right.
Because the militant are driven by force, but we are driven by reason. So we need to have those balance. The thinkers,
understand,
it needs
yeah.
to happen because we will give you the strategy, and you will execute, and that needs to happen. It's the same as when we talk about everyone loves James Bond, right? But where's James Bond without Q?
True.
And it's part and parcel. So we have to understand. You have to understand in the sense, you're militant, but you need your Q. You know, and in the same, Q needs M.
Yeah, M.
I'm giving it because that's
And
the
the big
easiest way to
influence.
explain it.
Yeah.
But everyone knows James Bond. I don't have to
Yeah,
explain
yeah,
who Q and M is, right?
yeah.
Everyone explains it because that way, everyone understands it. That way we understand our role and our responsibilities. Now, having said that, I'm going to close that bit and go into a whole other context in terms of politics or political issues.
Yeah.
Right now, Congo is fighting against child labour.
Right.
Okay, we've got massive protests that happened today. I haven't seen the pictures. I haven't been on social media. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. However, I want to ask: child labour. Are we fighting for the right thing, or are we just fighting for what the West already told us it is, which is child labour? Because in our context of our culture, children work. What are we actually fighting against? Because if we say child labour, that's every form of labour. What are we actually fighting to achieve? Because I got all the messages. Unlike SAR, I understood it immediately. I know what was that police brutality. I get it. I totally got it. But on this child labour thing, my worry, and I'll say my part before you guys answer, is I worry that we're removing child labour from an environment or a continent where we've got a lot of orphans who have to support themselves as well as their individuals that they take care of, whether it be mom, sister, or whatever. My concern is that I don't like the wording child labour. I think personally it's just slave labour that should be fighting against, because then it's no age, it's just about the individual. A child is not capable of mining, therefore they shouldn't do that job. And it just goes without saying, right? But a child is capable of doing paper round. So a child can then use that job to support whatever it is fits within that child's context. They're an orphan or whatever it is. They're taking care of grandma's the only one that takes care of them, but grandma's too weak to take care of them. So on the weekends he does a little paper round just to bring in extra income. I don't mind that, because I think that if we're honest, we've got, like I said earlier, 13 million and growing children that have no parents or are in this dismay, basically in Congo alone. And that's not the whole continent. So I put it back to you guys.
Human rights abuse is human rights abuse. It's as simple as that. Some people may say, the Western world have adopted a template where they say you shouldn't be working at this certain age, but they've actually checked many other factors. They don't just look at your age to determine whether you should do something or not. There's many other factors in terms of, for example, maybe in some parts of the world, marrying before the age of 18 may be deemed okay, but there's a reason why they say when you're 18 years old you should be able to do X, Y, and Z. It's because of the development of who you are as a
Mentally,
person. That's the reason why they let you do, and that's been governed by science. So you can't. So we're all, as long as you're a human being, whether you're in Africa or you're in the UK, you're a human being, and your development as a human being is the same. You have a brain, you have two eyes, unless obvious, of course, like you have
Physical.
Yeah, physical ailments. But the point is still valid that under a certain age, you should not be getting married or you shouldn't be doing X, Y, Z, regardless of whether you're in Africa or not, because it's wrong. You're a child. So even with the paper round, no, you shouldn't be doing a paper round at 9 years old. You should be in school. That's just the reality of it. A child should be in school. A child should be getting education. If grandma is too weak, where's the infrastructure? Where's the governmental support? Where's the disability allowance? So the whole structure, the reason why these things exist is because the whole structure of
you two come into that though, on that subject, do we recognise that is a governmental, as here we do, we recognise that when this is what takes away the child labour in here, in the Western world. Do we recognise that in the continent though, just to add from that point that you just made?
Well, no, the government doesn't clearly, I mean, even with the government clearly doesn't recognise that in Africa where things are not working. I'm not going to talk about Rwanda because Rwanda is doing a brilliant job. Their president is doing an amazing job in terms of transforming the whole of Rwanda. So there are African countries that are really working hard to, I wouldn't say, have the template of the West per se, but have a template where there's at least equality and fairness, for goodness sake. If you're disabled or you're sick enough, an 8-9-year-old shouldn't have to take the burden of the family.
Yeah, that's true.
To feed the family. There should be government supplements in place to enable that child to be in school and the grandma to be looked after. But because of corruption, that's the reason why there's more than enough money. I looked at foreign aid.
There's plenty of money. Don't get me started.
DRC gets foreign aid.
A lot.
Millions.
Trillions.
Of lots of foreign aid.
And where does all that money go?
And you don't see it. You don't see it there.
It doesn't trickle down to the individual on the ground.
So there's enough to build your country up to a stage where all this exploitative behaviour will not be happening with children. So we have to look at the grassroots level. And this is the problem that Africa's having, is that this is why, things like corruption and all of that nepotism, all of that stuff, all those ills need to be washed away out of the society. Because if it's not, there's so many vices that we can talk about on this table, not just child labour, so many different things. And it's all linked to the fact that you have not got a structure and an infrastructure that works. That's just it. That's just what it is.
It's rooted in the deep.
The thing is, I hate to say this because my people are very emotional right now regarding Rwanda and Congo situation. And I just want to say, I understand the pain. I understand those who are feeling this very deep in their souls. But the other time I was thinking in social media about you, I was about to post an Instagram or tweet about it. I'll refrain myself. What blocked to me is what you just said. There's leaders there who know what's happening. What would my tweet? What difference would it make? I know people will argue, oh yeah, it will bring awareness to things.
This guy's too.
I'm just being honest with you. It held me back because what my tweet would do, like what would my Instagram post really make that child? What law will come down to impede him from going under those tunnels? From going through that pain, it got me tired because I know that my so-called leaders are there and consciously are aware of what's happening in the east of Congo, not Africa, but in Congo itself. Now, here's the point. So let me think. I don't want to finish, Charlhene.
Yeah, go on.
Here's the point. Another point about the two enemies I have here in front of me, as you can remember now. The point is, I was watching a video one day about a child must be like maybe 6 or 7. He was next to the river with his, I think, maybe the fellow villagers, and he was washing his own clothes. Now, on a comment section, a lot of black women. Oh, what's a child doing? This is not nice. All that thing. But then I made a comment. I said, this is basic skills of life. They attacked me. And then now, why do I mention this to you? Now is where the confusion of what is a child labor and what is slave work.
But that's what I'm. That's
But
what
learning how to do house chores like washing your clothes. That's
what I was trying to. That's what I was trying to say. At the
You're not charging
are
for
we,
it.
Are we? When we follow this word child labor, are we breaking it down into the context? I mean, let me say it properly or better than I did before. Into the context of what is actually needed. Because again, I watched a documentary where in Japan, a 7-year-old can take herself or himself to school from miles away,
and it's fine.
Miles away, and it's fine. Get on a tube, everything, and they are better at navigation, all that than me at age 7. But they've been training them from age 4. From age 4. Now, if I am a mother, the last thing I want to do is to train a child to just be this, because any moment I could be gone. The way I see it, at any moment I could be gone. So I want my child to be able to take care of themselves at any moment's notice. So I'm teaching them economics. I'm teaching them all of that. I'm not saying that they can't be children. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that we need to take in consideration that we need to split what, like you said, what is general basic skills to what is real deprivation of, like what you said earlier. Which
I'm sorry, but there's a time and place where you teach your children skills. Realistically speaking, a 7-year-old should not be washing anything. That's me. I don't think a 7-year-old should not be there grating shirt collars together.
Not when there's a washing machine.
Everyone trains their children differently. But I think there's a legal age really from 12 years old. If even inside this country, there's like from 12 years old, there's a 7-year-old, 6-year-old should not be sitting down washing collars. There's little things that you can get them to do. Tidy up, clean up your room, just do your bed. You start at the basics.
Yes,
then when they get 12, 13, or 11, then you maybe can start introducing them to make toast or do little things like that. But I don't think hard, rigorous labour is wrong. Hard, forceful, rigorous, anything that is hard, forceful and rigorous should not be, a child should not do it.
Before you come in, let me get
That's my
Armel,
definition of child labour.
And then we're going to do our closing argument.
Anything that is too harsh for a child to undertake.
I think the perception...
Our African woman, good.
I think that the perception just depends on how society deems it, to be honest with you.
Which society deems it?
And when I'm saying society, I'm referring to African themselves and also American themselves and also the Western. And I'm referring to black African Americans and also the Western society, Caucasians and Asians as well. So based on what you guys have said, this is how I've looked at it. For me, it's normal if I see a child washing their own clothes as a 6-year-old because these are just basic life skills.
Is this in Africa or in the Western
No,
world?
this is Africa. Like I've always known that.
Me too.
I've always known.
Yeah, but
that.
it's because I was born and I grew up in the Western world. That sounds strange to me.
This the reason why.
It's understandable. That's why you see I've said the perception will always be different.
Yeah,
it will be different in
for
society.
me it's strange. You just put your clothes in the washing machine.
Exactly, because that's what you're used to. But would you believe if I told you in the village, they'll have like a bucket, they'll have clothes, they'll go to the sea and they're cleaning their clothes. Do you understand what I mean? One photo means
it's just a button.
But do you know what I'm saying to you? But it was always manual labour when it comes to doing your own laundry.
Yeah, of course.
I think
that has to do with
to combine what the two of you are saying.
Sweet man,
I think to combine what the two of you are saying, what Hannah said earlier, we need to get to a point where we evolve. Because ultimately,
I was going to highlight that as well.
21st century, our children should not be doing...
But here's the thing.
They should be sitting down playing FIFA, isn't it?
There should be a child.
Let me highlight.
There should be a child.
Let me highlight something here.
They should be outside playing and learning social development and emotional skills.
Let me say something. You see, when it comes to poverty, what you guys are forgetting is your responsibility starts at an earlier age.
In Africa.
Yes. Poverty.
In Africa. What do you mean in Africa?
In Africa,
What, sorry?
Is it in? What do you mean in Africa?
I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Do you mean in Africa?
By the way, you said something about legal age. Now, legal don't mean it's right. Because once upon a time, slavery also was legal.
Yeah, that's very true.
But
once upon a time,
but we're not in once upon a time. We're now.
Once upon a time,
we're now.
It was deemed acceptable to have a child in a museum. right? A black child, that was only in the 60s.
And once upon a
That
time, it was
actually
deemed
the-
acceptable to kill twins.
Exactly right.
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria. But
So,
legal
are we still
doesn't.
living in once upon a time?
That's the thing. Legal does not. You're right. Legal does not necessarily mean it's
Right,
right.
exactly.
So we need to understand at a global level, like Hannah said, it's not just about Africa. We need to understand at a global level what is acceptable. Because I do agree with Hannah when she says that a child needs to be a child.
It's a
Because
child.
I remember being a child.
So do I.
And all I looked forward to doing is watching my Power Rangers,
Is that
playing with
going out to
Barbie,
play with my friends?
playing out with my friends, because it was like the moment my mum was like, Charlhene, Zonga and that, I was like, oh man.
But see,
buzzkill.
both men on the table
I
are
need
saying
to-
something like saying these are women. This is the side where you sometimes allow us to take a lead. I get it. What's coming out here? I get yes, there's a part of a voice of reason, and also the part of your emotion as woman is playing things. You ain't seeing it. You're not seeing it.
Wait.
You ain't seeing it. So I get that side. I understand. But sometimes you need to trust us as men to take that side. Let him or her do that. Although you want her to go play outside, be on FIFA, and
No,
play
don't
Barbie.
FIFA.
Wait, hold on. But
Yeah.
we are seeing something else different. We're seeing there can be some of a danger in a way on the future that child has to have it now. We're thinking, no, anytime yet. But I'm saying no, futuristically.
I personally believe,
Let a child
to
be a
your
child.
point, before I let Armel come back in,
Be a child.
I personally believe that you are born with your 100% brain capacity, and then it's just the understanding how to use it, right? That's all you're lacking, okay? And it is up to the grown-ups to make sure you know how to use that capacity. And what we tend to do, especially in our community, is we suppress that capacity to the point where we only use 10% of our brain according to science, right? Well, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I believe that, for example, I had toot my own horn. I will, because I'm proud. I had my niece. She's 5.
Muluba.
She called. She was like, Auntie, I'm gonna read you a book. She read it from start to finish, and I was just sitting there like welling up, thinking, wow, we're raising a person. We're raising a woman, and she was very proud. For her, it was just blasé. So yes, I do agree. We have to prepare them for a future without us, because it can happen instantly. But at the same time, I still believe, like Hannah said, a child has to be a child. So as much as I'm going to sit there with my nieces and nephews and say, right, we're going to education, this, I'm going to teach you all this, but trust me, half the time, I'm cutting the phone off, TV's off, and we are just going to act stupid for like 3 hours. And I mean seriously, when I say stupid, I mean we're jumping up and down, we're doing our crazy dance.
You?
Trust me,
Joking.
I know. Don't seem like it, but no, for real. I've literally hung up on people and said, I need to call you back because I promised my nephew we're going to play.
Exactly.
Because there needs to be a balance. That's ultimately what I'm saying. There needs to be a balance. Because yes, we're going to teach them all these tools. Yes, we're going to teach them they're going to be warriors. They are warriors. But at the same time, we're also going to teach them just have fun.
I agree. I don't disagree on that point, but it's where we don't win in this situation. Because most, not all, of our women, that side will take the best of them being a child, of them being older, because it's like too maybe hard or tough on them.
Oh, I didn't do it to me.
But I get it. I'm saying most, not necessarily everybody.
True.
But I'm saying it for the viewers that are watching there. No, let the men sometimes take the lead.
But that's why you have a father and a mother. It's equality, isn't it?
I get it.
Give and take. So let me bring Armel back, and then we'll have
on,
the
no
final
problem.
1 minute each
Oh,
closing.
I think the mistake that we're all making is, you see, when I highlighted poverty, I was saying that poverty is what puts people into circumstantial situations.
Yes,
I agree.
it's true.
So what that means is when the child is there washing their clothes, it's because they don't have the luxury of what you had or what Charlhene
Washing
had. So washing machine probably don't even exist in their household. They probably don't even know what that is for starters, because they're based on their social economical surroundings.
I
Yeah.
agree.
That's one. Second of all, when you look at your environment and that's it's literally just what you're accustomed to, you're gonna be like just like every other kids that's in around that village. You're gonna go to the sea and wash your clothes. Now the viewers who are looking at that, yes, they can voice their discontent, but it's not them that's in that situation. Because if they were in that situation, they wouldn't be able to do any different, because
Yep.
that's the circumstances they are in, and all you can do is live within that circumstance and make the best out of it.
So would you say us in the diaspora protesting against child labour without a
Understand.
clear mandate of what it is required or needed back there from them? Because remember, like you said, we're here and we've got washing machines, microwave, etc.
right. So let me
Are we
answer
going
that.
into this protest without actually asking the questions to the individual. What do you need? What do you want? Are we doing that whole thing again of, because we're in the West, we know best?
No. See, the mistake that we're making is if you even think about the question you're asking, there's even some faults in there. Okay. Because the first one we're actually supposed to be looking at is assessing one's circumstances, and then looking at the superiors who are there and what they've actually done about that. Because if that problem hasn't been resolved, you can't expect there to be changes. Sure. So what that means is, first we have to ask the right questions to get the right answers. Yeah, that's the beginning. The second part is this, is that when we're looking at like the social economic issues that's happening over there, we have to ask ourselves, what now? I live in, let's say either Abuja, let's say Abuja was in the capital for instance, and let's say Kinshasa was in the capital now. It was just the village, right? Now, we're here protesting in Europe. We haven't assessed the situation there. Yeah. But we've come out with answers.
That's what I'm saying. Have we not?
But that's the problem though. It doesn't make sense. You can't come out with answers if you haven't actually.
Well, that's not an answer then, is it?
It's
because
not.
You haven't consulted
and that's not
the people
and that's not a question either. So what we're supposed to do is you're supposed to actually go there first. When you're there, you look what's there, and then you find out who the superiors are. You see what they've done about it, and if they haven't done nothing about it, then you've got something to come back. Then you got something to come back on, and then that's something that we can work on. And as long as we can do that, we work on that. Then we can start making. Then we can have comprehension. Is what I forgot to add. Then we have comprehension of what's actually happening. So then we will be able to sit down as people to say, look, based on my observation, this is what I've seen. I've spoken to A, B, and C. I've done questionnaires, forums, and so forth. These are the feedback that I've got from the locals, and stuff that I've asked them, they don't even know what I'm talking about. And this is the conclusion that I have here.
No, fair enough.
You see what I mean? So then when that's happened, then we can go there again. Not just as one person, but as people. Then we have our own synopsis, hypothesis. Then we have conclusions. And then when that's done, then we have a better understanding. Then we have a better understanding where we're able to challenge the superiors. We can say, we've come there. This is what we've seen. We've spoken to locals. We've done budgeting to implement ideas to help the community. What have you guys actually done? Because we've been here for X, Y, and Z years, and this is what we've been consistently doing. We want to make a change, to prevent kids of that age, a 6-year-old, going into the sea to washing their own clothes.
But that's from a macroeconomical perspective. If we're taking micro, the mining.
Yeah.
They are mining for rich corporations that are developing these items.
And who's letting that happen?
So fair enough, the government is allowing that to happen.
Precisely.
But you still have CSR, you still have a corporate social responsibility to ensure that these children that shouldn't even be in those mines in the first place. Right. You know what's happened. You're aware of what's going on, and that's wrong because they're producing it for a multinational corporation.
But then here's the issue with what you're saying. Yeah.
Before you guys carry on, I'll let you all give your final, because I'm conscious of time, and the boss is gonna kill me. So let me give you all your final moments. So I'll give you the platform. What would you want to say in response to everything we've talked about and everything everybody else has said as your final take?
I would like to give all those who consider themselves activists, those who are in the struggle or this battle for black freedom. What's that thing I don't know in English? Lance-pierre.
Spade.
It's a good word?
Spade.
You put a stone and...
Oh, you're talking about...
Long-spear.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Catapult, yeah. You put a stone there. When I was in Africa, there was one thing that was banned to me was you have to aim. You can't just do that. You have to have an
precision.
Precision to get where you get. Now, I learned that, for those who are watching me, that civil rights movement, black movement, but anyway, Martin Luther King, when they used to protest, it was to protesting against, not for something, but against something. For instance, they all stopped going to buses because they wanted to protest against those buses and that seat in the back of the bus things, and which it worked. Not much of the thing, but it was ended up working. Now, my point is, what are we protesting against who is the target that we want to reach when we protest, when we march? Because I don't attend and I don't go for these reasons. It doesn't give me enough power to go, because it has to be aimed at something or a collective.
Yeah.
Now, an idea to finalize. Why don't we protest against our politicians? Because they're seeing what is happening and they're the leaders. And that's my point.
So, Hannah, your final point.
Well, just to buttress on the gentleman's point, I feel like, yes, we should continue with activism. I think that there is a lot of hope in Africa. I think we're entering into a new era. It's a different generation. So don't underestimate this generation, because there's so much tools, technological tools, and things available, minds, intellectual minds that are, you know, working to really create a greater and better Africa. So I just want to just implore all of us as Africans to come together more, you know, and to have more discussions, more forums, you know, really, you know, get our thinking caps on so that we can create a better future and a better Africa for generations to come.
Armel.
I just wanna say this. I think now, you know, the youths, you've seen what our generation is doing now, and what I want is look at that, what we're doing, use that energy, use that inspiration, use that passion, and, you know, do something about it, not just with words, but with actions. Because a lot of us Africans, we do too much talking and less actions. I'm not saying go and do, like, cause problems or violence, no. I'm saying do action here with proper methodical thinking, where you can outsmart them. Because as one, as unity, you can break anyone. There's no one that's, literally, there's no one that's impossible. There's no one that's not penetrable. Anything in this world is penetrable, as long as you work as a team,
To bring it down.
and to bring it down. And me, by saying that, is I want all Africans here, not just to say we're one African country just because your country is suffering, but to be one.
Even when it's not.
Based on principality, as an African, you're supposed to know not just about your neighbours, but Africa as a whole, and to unify, and to what to do is to tackle a problem, because you never see when one African country has a problem, all African countries unite. But in the Arab League, you will see Arabs uniting against one Arab country. As Africans, you need to have that mind and comprehension to understand that in order for Africa to thrive and to be better, you need to unify as one and to come together as a collective and do the work in order to achieve and succeed. Because we're not stupid, we're all intellectual. Remember, we are the ones that taught the Caucasians how to wash. We brought education to them. They can't give you education, because what they're teaching is what we taught them. So you always have to remember that if you really want to learn something and know, it's everything that you need is back home. But it's down to you as an individual to be humble, not to be mislead or deceive your comrades or your people. Stop bringing down your own people. Work with them. See the positive in them, and stop seeing the negative.
Wow. So my take is, I'll take from everything everyone said and then add a little bit of my own thing. Is from what I gather is that we need to find a balancing point, especially when it comes to politics. Everything is politics. That's the first general consensus. Everything is politics, and wherever you are, do not assume that you have not got an impact or that you do not have the power to influence, because you do. The small child in Congo mining has the power to influence the entire world. So that is, again, coming back to, I think, the general consensus of the day for me is power, knowing it, and then harnessing it. Having the ability to harness it, control it, and influence it. And if we can do that, we can literally break down mountains. We can break down anything and everything. But in saying that, we have to be respectful of who and what we are. To what Hannah was saying, a child's innocence is paramount. I think we can all agree, because no matter where you look at it, a child's innocence has to be preserved by everyone and anyone, no matter race, creed, colour, wherever you're from. that innocence has to be it has to be protected, and the child has to be able to enjoy that. Okay, because you're only young once, but you're young for a very short period of time, but you're an adult for a longer time.
So the innocence you're saying.
Innocence.
Okay.
Innocence, and because it's momentarily, you're a teenager for a short period of time, but I'm gonna be a grown up for a very long time, so it needs to be protected. So, but when it comes down to politics, we need to be conscious enough to start saying to ourselves in our community, as an African community, but as a people of this world, that we're not going to stand for the corruption. We're not going to stand for the blind leadership of, oh, well, yeah, I'm not going to get involved in that. Because ultimately, it has a detriment effect to the way the world works. And this is why we find ourselves in the position that we're in today. So, in saying that, I thank you all for coming. I thank you everyone for their point of view. We might not all agree with the point of views that we've made today, but the point is that we've had a conversation, and it has not, and I repeat, it has not ended in disrespect, in filth, in destruction or misunderstanding. It has ended in comprehension.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.